I want to take you on a bit of a journey with me. We're going to go back to Toledo, Ohio, where it all began. That's where I, like many of you out there, discovered princesses and princes who got together in the most magical way, fell madly in love, turned into kings and queens, and of course, let's not forget, they always lived happily ever after. Did you buy into the fairy tale? Well, I did. I went the whole 9 yards. I grew up, did as I was told. I even did the beauty queen thing and the cotillion thing. I got to wear foofy dresses with pearls, real live tiaras, and a few crowns even. But along the way, each time I found my prince, he turned out to be a frog. But then, when I least expected it, in fact, when I looked like one of those trolls from up under the bridge, it happened. I met a prince among men. And guess what, y'all? He did not turn out to be a frog. He actually turned out to be my husband. The fairy tale had finally come true. I could hear the birds singing like in the movies. You know, the ones with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, where they dance and they twirl and they come back together and they lock gazes in the real romantic way. I had found true love, and it felt amazing. Now this guy, he really got me. He loved all my quirky, and I loved all his. I was a woman of a certain age, and I was blissfully happy. We were living the dream. But here's the thing. Nobody ever talks about the devastation that comes when the fairy tale turns into a nightmare. When everything that you had hoped for, longed for your entire life comes crashing down in front of you just when you thought you had survived the global pandemic, COVID-19. Now, I'm sure some of you out there can relate, because you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who has not been touched in some way by this horrible virus. Well, it visited us. I had it, and my William had to be hospitalized. So there I was. I found myself in my front yard, surrounded by 9 dear girlfriends. You know, the ones that would be so kind to bail you out of trouble should the need arise. And then there were those other girls who could not bail you out of trouble because likely they were in trouble with you. We were all there. We'd been there the better part of the day, and my phone rang, and it was our daughters on a 3-way call. They were telling me that the nurse was going to hold the phone up to my William's ear so we could say goodbye. So our 2 girls said goodbye. The 2 grand boys said goodbye. And then my sweet man coded. Now immediately my phone rang again, and in a panic I picked it up, and it was the chaplain, Kristen, calling me on FaceTime. And she said, Shawn LeRae, William is still with us. She said he can't go anywhere until he hears your voice. She proceeded to tell me that she was going to hold the phone up so I could see his face. And she showed me her hand holding his. And she told me to say goodbye to the love of my life. Obediently, I began to say goodbye, and I thanked him for loving me so fully and so completely. And then I asked Kristen to promise to stay with him until he went home, and she promised. After about 15 minutes, what seemed like an hour, the phone rang again, and it was Kristen telling me that my William Joseph had gone home to be with God. I immediately looked down at my phone, and the time read 3:21. And I told Kristen he just gave me a kiss. You see, one of the funny, silly things that William and I used to do is we would kiss on consecutive times on the clock, 654, 456, 123, 321. So I smiled and looked up as I thought God allowed him to give me a final kiss. This pandemic has wreaked havoc on all of us. Perhaps you lost a loved one. But what I'm reminded of is that loss can be devastating in any form. Maybe you lost a job, a financial loss, an opportunity you were counting on. Maybe your loss was a divorce. See, no matter what loss we suffer, we can be left feeling stuck, afraid, and even angry. Now, I tell you, the days to follow have been hard, and I hurt every day. You see, there's something especially horrible about losing someone to COVID. Like, I wasn't able to be at the hospital with my William as he drew his last breath because of COVID. In fact, I never got to see him again ever because of COVID. I wasn't even allowed to view his body because of COVID. And I couldn't give him a service until 3 months after he passed away because of COVID. I lost my prince, my king, my best friend, my confidant, my lover, my protector because of COVID. You know, there are so many things that I wanted to say that I didn't get to say. You see, what we experienced with William's loss is called complicated grief. That is when the cause of someone's death is wrapped up in an extra layer of hurt, pain, and suffering. Grief is always difficult, and in most cases, this kind of grief lingers on and can leave you with a difficult recovery. So as I began my journey into the grieving process, sometimes walking, y'all, sometimes crawling, I realized I had to make a decision. I had a choice. I could choose to focus on all the unbearable incidents that led to William's death and all the tragic moments that came from losing someone so dear to something so awful. Or I could shift my focus to the beauty that came with loving William Joseph. I had to make a chance to focus on the gratitude that comes with the gift of experiencing the love of a man who loved God first, then me, our family, and our friends. A man who every day took care of me, making me smile and belly laugh and snort from giggling from laughing so hard. A man who never met a stranger, who was famous in our neighborhood because he had these special sayings that were as memorable as he was. A man who could take a difficult situation and turn it into a good one. A man who was so witty, so brilliant, so kind, so proud, so amazing, elegant, and did I mention handsome? John Warden outlined the 4 tasks of mourning. Task 1, accept the reality of the loss. I'm not there yet. Task 2, process the pain of the grief. Not there yet. Task 3, adjust to life without the deceased. And task 4, to find an enduring connection amidst embarking on a new life. Now, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler outlined the 5 stages of grief. Denial, every day. Anger, a lot of the time. Bargaining, every day, wanting a do-over. Depression, yes, I've been there too. Acceptance, I just can't get there. See, I don't know where I am really on either of these spectrums, but I keep returning to my choice. I wake up every morning in tears because William Joseph used to wake me up and run my bubble bath. But now I wake up alone. We used to laugh and giggle at night having a snack. So now I cry before I go to sleep because I sleep alone. But after my morning cry and my morning coffee, I choose joy. I choose joy because William Joseph was pure joy. I choose joy because he brought me pure joy. And because he gave pure joy to everyone with whom he came into contact. So if you're out there, when loss comes your way, I hope that you will consider honoring your loved one's life with your own. Kick, scream, stomp, wail, get mad, and then find the peace that transcends all understanding. Because in that space, lies the gratitude, the love, and the joy that will sustain you as you heal. So I hurt every day, and my heart breaks every day. But I make my choice, and I choose joy. So you see, I really was that little girl who grew up, found her prince, who became a king, and who now lives happily ever after in her heart. Thank you.